Next time your sweet tooth strikes, be prepared to satisfy it with this silky smooth vegan chocolate pie. This is one of my favorite pies because it's so creamy and delicious. Every bite says, I want another one. But it's also so easy because it's a no-bake pie that's made with only 7 ingredients. I have an optional 8 that I'm going to suggest to you in a minute. It's also one of those desserts that you can have that doesn't like leave you feeling terrible because this pie crust is made with whole food ingredients, and there's actually a surprising ingredient that packs protein in every bite. 8 grams of protein in every bite. And I bet if you were to guess, you might say, oh, she's added protein powder. But no, there's a secret ingredient, and I'm going to tell you all about it in just a minute. I'm so excited to share that with you. So let's get to making this pie. It begins with the pie crust, and what we have here is I've got my handy food processor that I can't seem to open right now. There we go. I can do things. Okay, it's so easy. I'm going to start with a 1/2 cup of rolled oats. And I have here a 1/2 cup of coconut flakes and also a 1/2 cup of pecans. And that I'm just going to pulse to create kind of a coarse crumb. Let's take a look inside there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. You still see some texture of the oats, but that's nice. And then what I have here is 1 cup of pitted medjool dates. And, you know, sometimes for me, that's usually around 9 or 10 dates, but it depends on their size. So I usually just measure out a cup. Now you'll see, what you'll notice next is that this crust is, the ingredients are all nice and combined. And this actually can work just the way it is, but it is a little bit on the crumbly side. So what I typically do is add just a little bit of water. And this is probably right around a teaspoon. You don't want to go too much because you can easily get this too wet. See what that looks like. Yeah, that's much better. Yep, perfect. Now, I want to talk to you. Oftentimes, and you'll even notice with this crust, I add a tablespoon of cocoa powder, and you can do that. It's fine either way. I just thought today it would be kind of fun to try it without. But yes, typically you're going to add a tablespoon of cocoa powder to this crust, and it gives it a nice chocolatey vibe. But it's good either way. So let me find my pan. I just have a regular pie pan, and I have sprayed it with a little bit of vegetable cooking spray. And I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm sure I've told you about my fun little trick before, but there is a hole at the bottom of your food processor bowl, and I like to put my finger right in that, so that way the blade doesn't come out when although it is kind of slick today. That way the blade doesn't come out when you turn it upside down. Okay, so this is the pie, and what I'm going to do is just gently press this. Now, I love to always talk about troubleshooting recipes because, you know, I guess that's the thing about when you're working in the kitchen is that you're going to need to learn to troubleshoot some things. And this crust is absolutely perfect. But if you get it too wet, let's say you put some water in there and then you could just feel it. It's just kind of soggy feeling. All you have to do is just bake it for a few minutes. You know, like I think I baked 325 for around 10 minutes. And that is going to solve that problem. So there's never a problem you can't get through is the way I look at it. But this crust is just, I got this one just right. So I don't need any troubleshooting with today. But what I do like to do is press it up against the edges. You can even get your measuring cup in here if you want and just really kind of get a nice flat surface. It works. Okay, that's pretty good. I like to kind of go across the edges. That way, you know, when you cut into it, it doesn't crumble too much. I'm just kind of pressing in and pressing with my thumb at the same time to get a nice exact edge. Oops, that one stuck to my finger. That can happen sometimes. You can, if your fingers are getting stuck to it, you can just spray your fingers with a little bit of vegetable cooking spray, and that helps. Or even water works. Okay, that's it. That's perfect. Now this goes in the fridge while you're making the rest of the pie. I'm just going to set it aside for today. But yes, normally I would put that in the fridge. Now you'll see that I still have some ingredients from the crust in here, but it's fine. We're just gonna leave that in here. And we're gonna move on to the filling, and it's gonna go right into the same food processor. You don't even need to wipe it out. So what we have is 2 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips, and I have 3/4 cup of oat milk, and I'm just gonna pour that right in here. Lovely. This is going to go in the microwave for a minute. And while that's cooking, I'm going to add the silken tofu. That's our favorite, that's our secret ingredient, silken tofu. And what I love about it, it is packed with protein. It has a nice, you can see it's got nice texture to it. So it's going to add texture to this pie, and it keeps it super simple. And I'm just going to show you, this is the carton I use. It's around 12 ounces. What does that say? Oh, that says 11, around 11 ounces. And that's all you need. This is perfect. I love the fact that it's extra firm silken tofu. I love keeping this around. I usually have several boxes of this in my cupboard most of the time because it's just a go-to favorite. Okay, this is gonna go in the food processor. And while we're waiting on the chocolate chips, you can combine it all together if you have your chocolate chips melted ahead of time. But because we're waiting on the chocolate chips, I'm just going to go ahead and process this first. It's always a good idea to check halfway through the processing to just get some of the stuff that's up along the sides. And, you know, you can kind of see where you're at on texture wise. It's pretty close, but we want to get it a little bit smoother than that. So let's do that. Okay, I'm going to get the chocolate chips out. If your chocolate chips don't melt all the way, it's okay because they're going to get processed here in a second. So at least what we've done here is softened them up a little bit. So that's all that matters. So I'm just going to use this same spatula, and we're just going to get in here and give this a stir. 1 minute is all it takes, and those chocolate chips are nice and melty. I just like to stir to kind of get that oat milk combined in there a little bit. This is perfect. Okay. This is going to go into the food processor. Hopefully that looks appetizing. Does it look good? Okay, good. Sean agrees. Sean thinks this looks good. Of course, I think anything chocolate for him is going to be a winner.
Yes.
Yes, he agrees. Sometimes it's good to have a second spatula around because, you know, even spatulas get sticky at times. So I don't want to miss any chocolate. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's do this again. And let's see where we're at here. Yeah, this is really close. This is almost perfect. We just got a little bit of stuff on the side that I'm gonna spread in here. One more time. crust back. Look at that. I have to show you what this looks like. This is just gorgeous. Look at that. It's nice and thick. Honestly, it smells so good. I feel like I could just go into eating it right now. Sean's shaking his head yes, like he agrees. It smells delicious. I did want to talk with you about another add-in idea I had, and that is to this mixture, you could add a couple of tablespoons of vegan cream cheese, and that is going to give this a French silk pie vibe, which, you know, I don't know anybody who doesn't love French silk pie. So I think adding a couple of tablespoons of vegan cream cheese to this would be amazing. I mean, that would take this from a really delicious pie to, you know, an even more delicious pie. So that's one of my favorite add-ins. If you have other ideas of add-ins, I would love to hear from you. I mean, I could imagine adding a little bit of orange zest because we always love chocolate and orange together. Same thing with coconut. Love, you know, you could, of course, you know, I have a recipe where we use coconut milk as the filler, but this one it uses silken tofu, and I really lean towards this one, and I think it's, I would hesitate to give that up. I'm just saying. I would hesitate to give up that protein. Okay, I think I've got most of it here. Again, I'm always trying to get as much as I can because, come on, chocolate filling. We want as much of it as we can get in there. So there we go. I like to press it up against the edges. This pie does not need to be baked. This is one of the beautiful things about this pie is it's a no-bake pie that really takes about 10 minutes of your time, and then it goes in the fridge to set. I like to kind of give it a little dollop at the top. This will go into the fridge. And then, seriously, I think it needs about an hour. And after about an hour, maybe 2, this is what you're looking at. Look at that. That is a beautiful pie that is nice and firm. It's just delicious all the way around. There's just, I mean, there's just nothing negative about this pie at all. I can't imagine anybody isn't gonna love this. Like I say, you can customize it with your own add-ins. If you have issues with nuts, which I kind of get from the crust, I do have an oatmeal pie crust recipe that you could consider. I'll put a link in the show notes when this is done. So if you really have trouble with, you know, with nuts, then I highly recommend our oat crust. It's very good. And you know, you can just really go to town and customize this however you want. But it is naturally gluten-free and dairy-free. This is a pie that it checks a lot of boxes. So if you're doing like Thanksgiving dessert or some potluck that you're going to, this is the dessert to bring because so many people can eat it. There's no problems with so many diets as far as dairy-free or whatever, and it's delicious. So let's get to it. I think we need to do the taste test. So let's just go right here. I don't know if you can see that very well, can you? That is creamy and silky. Oh my gosh. That is so good. Wow. Holy cow. That is like the best dessert. That pie crust just adds just a little bit of texture, but also just kind of blends into the silky smoothness of the pie. This is probably the best pie ever. That's what I'm gonna go with. I also wanted to say, if you're wondering what whipped cream I have on top, I got this oat milk whipped topping. I think you can find these in most stores these days. I mean, this is Sprouts, obviously, but at our local grocery store, there's usually some kind of can of dairy-free whipped cream. So you can make a homemade whipped cream with coconut milk or what, you know, there's so many things that you can actually just do some simple chocolate shavings on top as well. But you know, you can't go wrong with a little bit of whipped cream. I love this pie, and I'm so glad that you joined me today in the kitchen. And I'm just so thankful that you're here because I always have a good time when you're in the kitchen with me. And I would love to hear from you. If you're gonna make this pie for Thanksgiving, leave a comment and let me know, or you can make it for any reason, whatever reason you're making it. Leave a comment and do a hashtag namely Marley and send me your image. I would love to see it. That would be so fun to see your creations about this recipe. So if you like this recipe, I would love it if you gave it a thumbs up and subscribe for more recipes coming your way every week.